I obviously think the workload is massive. I think up until about a year ago, if you were to ask the majority of teachers why they left the profession, workload would be because I think there was the research from the TUC looking into the unpaid overtime of
Yeah,
different professions, and I think the average across all professions was 4.4, and then that jumped up to 26 hours a week for teachers.
yeah,
And the problem with that is, I feel that so much of what's expected of teachers, and so much of that extra time we put in doesn't actually have a direct impact on the teaching and learning class. And so I feel what frustrates teachers is they're putting all these hours in where it's what 57 hours on average a week, yet so little of it actually has an impact. More of it's around us having to prove that we're doing the job the vast majority of us are capable of doing. So I feel that becomes a real issue. And I think that's why the retention numbers are so, because I feel like until you're in the job, you don't appreciate that level of workload, which is why the stats are what, 1 in 10 leave within the first year, 30% within the first 3 or maybe 5. Um, so that I think that needs sorting is, and I suppose that was going to be my next question is when you talk about workload,
yeah.
to what point do you understand that, and what do you want, what would you change so that teachers aren't having those issues where it's forcing them to leave the profession because that work-life balance is not achievable?
So I've spoken to the trade unions quite a lot about this point and the changes that they kind of see across the board that they would want to deliver. And I know that there's been work going on across government on this, but it hasn't really yielded very much by way of results. So I think we need to kind of revisit that. I think also what I would say is, look, I'm not a teacher. I'm not facing this day to day. And that's why it is essential that it's about listening to and engaging with the profession about the kinds of changes that would lead to the biggest difference in terms of people feel they're not doing that kind of work as you described, that actually isn't about improving outcomes for children or isn't actually central to better teaching. I think part of it is that time that people do need out of the classroom, particularly
Mm,
around training and development alongside that. There's also a question around accountability reform that we've set out. I do believe that it is important that we have a sense about what schools are getting right and where there are areas for improvement. So I do believe it's important that we retain Ofsted, but I don't think the current system that we've got at the moment is working in that
no.
it's very high stakes for staff, but it's low information for parents alongside that. So there is a need for kind of wider accountability reform as a part of that. And I think that wider reform that we would seek to deliver, so moving away from those 1 or 2 word judgments
Mhm.
to a more balanced um, judgment as to how schools are performing, I think also provides an opportunity to have a conversation about how we can have a real focus on better life chances for children, but on the things that will actually make the biggest difference to children's life chances. And there is a question as well around technology and how we could use that more effectively to take away, particularly on the administrative side
Uh-huh.
for teachers, and free up some of their time so that they can focus on more effective interventions working directly with children rather than on some of the admin stuff that I think eats into time but isn't maybe the best use of people's expertise.
Absolutely. Yeah. I suspect you're touching upon some of the AI stuff there. Is that what we're?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I helped develop a tool which sort of harnesses AI, and the response we're getting for that around just sort of giving teachers that time back is something I'm really, really proud of, but I think just needs to be rolled out more, and teachers being made aware of what this technology can do to obviously help them with that.